Good day everyone. Today we'll be looking at how to make a shirt and a jacket. So first of all, after folding your fabric, you get your full length, your full shirt length. Mine is 18 inches, starting from your waist down before your knee. So at this point, you are going to measure out your hip 9, your flap, then your folding. Normally the folding is meant to be 2 inches. Some people takes it down, while some people takes it from the upside, but mine is from the downside. So at this point, from your hip 9, you are going to measure out your hip. My hip is 41 divided by 4 plus 1, so what I'm having is 11.71. Then while my flap is 29, we all know how to calculate for your flap. So at this point, we are going to measure for waist. So after getting your waist measurement, mine is 33.5, that is 8.37. You connect the 9 straight from your waist down to your hip, then connect it to your flap. So at this point, we have marked out our waist, our hip, and our flap. So after joining the connections, you add 2 inch to your waist. 1 inch is for the dart, 1 inch is for the sewing. You connect your 9s. Now, so at this point, the next thing is just to get your midpoint, which is the center point from your hip down to the other end of your flap 9. So at this point, you are going to divide whatever you have. If you have 10, you divide it by 2, which is 5. 5 is tends to be your midpoint. So mine, I've calculated mine, and that is my midpoint. You bring down your 9 from your hip down to the short length. This will give it a desirable and a very balanced shirt. So at this point, you have to cut out your front, because this is your front side of your shirt. So I'm cutting it out to place it in order to get my back. So the next thing for you to do is bring it down by 1 inch. This is because to have a balance at the front, you get, so you know our front is not straight. So for that front, you take a slant line, you mark it down, but at this point you don't need to cut it out. It's after tracing out your back. The difference between the front and the back is 2 inches that you are going to add, starting from your flap down to your short length. So at this point, we are tracing it step by step from the short length to the hip to the waist. And remember not to add your 2 inches from your flap. With this, it will give you a very good balance. So at this point, you have to cut out your shirt. That this is the back where you have added your 2 inch from the flap down to the short length. So at this point, we are ready to cut out the 1 inch at the front that we added to the back automatically, just to make the shirt to be balanced. So at this point, we are going to look into our jacket. You first of all get your full measurement for your jacket, depending on the length you want it to be, and mark out the basics. So my shoulder is 18 divided by 2. I have 8. I mark 8. So my armhole 8, while my bust 9 is 9. So at this point, we are going to calculate your bust if your bust is 40, you divide it by 4 to get your actual measurement, and add 2 inches extra, 1 inch for folding, 1 for sewing. So the same thing goes to the under bust, your waist 9 and your hip 9. So my hip 9 is 9, but my hip is 40 divided by 4, and that is 10. So remember to add your 2 inches as you have seen from the video. So at this point, from your shoulder you take a slant, bring down 1 inch, that will give you a slant to make your shoulder balance. So, and get your center point from your shoulder to your armhole. I used a ruler just to give it a perfect curve at my armhole. With this, you will trace your 9 from your shoulder to your bust down to every other 9 that you have marked out. So at this point, we are cutting out the jacket. So to give it a perfect fitting, you have to draft out your dart at the back to give it that perfect look that you want in your jacket. So the same thing is going to happen to your front pattern. The only difference at this point is that the front, we are going to give it a 2 inches at the front that serve like a zipper allowance, but this time around we are not using a zip for this particular jacket. What we are using is just a button just a button that will look very simple and beautiful, because I'm not using a collar for this particular jacket. So make sure that your 2 inch at the front, which serve as a zipper allowance, is being mapped out. Then you draft out the same thing that you drafted at the back, including the dart, the hip, the waist, the armhole, the neckline, and all that. So after drafting out, this is my short. I've joined the front part and the back part. I also used a lining just to give it a thicker look, without causing any slight mistake, and it will get on. So this is the back part and this is my front part. You can see how it's balanced and how it's giving you that shape already, even without joining both sides together. So this is my jacket. I also use a lining for my jacket to make it suit perfectly well on whatever is putting it on. So there is the back, and I'm about to place the front. You'll see the look and the style I use for the front. I'm trying to join the both of them together. I'm trying to match it together for you to have an idea of how the front looks like. though in this case I used a sample material for the collar, not the collar anyway, but the front part. That is where you see the black, and that is the sleeve. You know, after joining it, that is how it will look like. So this is the whole process: joining in the machine, taking time to sew it, make it look perfectly fine without having any serious error. So at this point I try to trim. Yes, trimming is very important. You have to trim to take off the excesses, you know, and the beauty, in fact, without having one side being longer than the other side or the other side being shorter than the other side. So trimming is very, very, very necessary in the profession. So as you can see, everything is now set and perfect. I hope you do enjoy my video. Thank you very much, and still watch out for other tutorials.